Hey guys, still here and welcome to a different type of video today. This video is going to be part brain dump, part let me take you on a walk around the city and just share my thoughts. Brain dump. I think it's the first time in many years on YouTube that I have absolutely no idea what to make videos on. I've had several years where I did Wargame for Dragon. I've had several years where I did Ultimate Rebel Dreadnoughts. And while there definitely were periods where I really didn't know what to make content on regarding that game, there was, I don't know, always something sprung up. There was always something that I eventually made work. And then Seapower came along in about, what was it, October, I think? Late September, early October, something like that. And to a certain extent that kind of saved my channel, or so it felt, because, well, let me take you up here by the way. The channel hadn't been doing that well with the demise of Dreadnoughts, if you will. And as such, I was looking for a new game, and along came Seapower. Perfect timing. Maybe some of you joined me because of that. Maybe some of you decided to start following me back then. Maybe some of you stopped following me back then, but then again, you're not watching this video, are you? Seapower came along, that turned out quite well, and because of that, got a lot of views, got a good amount of revenue as well, which really helped. Because I'm sort of the sole provider for the family at this point, which also comes with its own host of challenges, if you will. My wife has a arts and crafts store, still in startup phase. Unfortunately isn't doing that well, so whereas ideally she would also be providing income. Jeez, this is cold. It's about freezing and I'm holding my phone in one hand. Ideally she would also be providing income, and in this case she hasn't been for a while. So there was quite a lot of pressure on YouTube, on me. And you might be going, well, just play whatever you want and the views will come. No sir, they will not. No sir, they will not. YouTube works in such a way that you have to play the relevant things. You have to play things that people will watch, ideally in droves, or you will simply not get a lot of revenue out of YouTube. At least such has been my experience. And you can certainly try and play whatever you want. I wanted to really do a series on surviving Mars. I got one of those river cruise liners here. I really wanted to do a series on surviving Mars back in the day, and I did. Did it make a decent amount of views / revenue? No. Fun game, I still play it, or I started playing it again recently, but views? No, not as much. So, build it and they will come, as some people have said, unfortunately does not work. So what does? Finding a game that gets many views. Great, look at Steam charts. Look at whatever people are apparently playing and make videos on that, right? Easy. Well, for example, one of the most played games, I think, on Steam charts is still CSGO, which is absolutely not one of the games for me. I don't have the reflexes, I don't have the map knowledge that people who have been playing the game for, I don't know, a decade or two, how long has that been out, have been playing. I think that in order to be successful on YouTube, you have to have this sort of Venn diagram, if you will. You're gonna have a decent blend of getting something you're interested in my case Seapower, getting a game that is feasible to make videos on. And again, I think Seapower comes to mind, Dreadnoughts comes to mind, because Dreadnoughts, especially the campaign, used to be very serialized. Like you'd have episode 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. And that worked quite well. Some games are less ideal, I think, to make videos on. If you're thinking 7 Days to Die, for example, it can definitely be made into a video, sure. But I wouldn't particularly call that easy. Because you have to have a certain amount of, let's say, income per hour if you want to be doing this thing. So if you want to be doing videos on, I don't know, 7 Days to Die, give it a name, and it takes you 5 hours to record, and then another, 5 hours to edit, probably more if you got 5 hours of footage, you don't really have a choice but to get tons and tons of views. Slight jump skip here is got a little busy, and I'm still not used to this vlog style videos. Anyway, you gotta have an interest in the game. You gotta have a game that doesn't take hours and hours to edit and turn into a video that gets revenue. So that's another challenge. Is it possible to make videos on a game that you're not interested in? Maybe. I mean, yeah, I've done it with some sponsored videos way back in the day where I thought, wow, you're paying me a decent amount of money, but I would never play this myself because I don't think it's a great game. But hey, sometimes you gotta make do. You gotta make do with the income that is provided. You gotta make do with the clients that pop up. Where am I going with this? I'm not sure. And that goes not just for YouTube, that goes for my life as well to some extent. I've been doing YouTube, I've been YouTubing, content creating, if you want to call it that, since 2014. So it's been about 11 years. And I have been doing it, I hate to call it professionally, because it still doesn't strictly feel professional. I've been doing it full time. No. I've focused solely on YouTube since about 2019, so about 5 years by now. Give or take 5. 6 actually, because it was April 2019 that I had my last actual job. It is something I want to keep doing because I do enjoy the content creation part. Sidetrack, you might notice the KNRM logo on my hat, and that is a search and rescue organization here in the Netherlands. It is the search and rescue organization in the Netherlands, and I joined them last year to make content for them as a volunteer. There's 46 SAR stations, I think, and 2 of them are local to me. I noticed that they didn't have that much social media going on, so I decided to just ask if I could help them. And now that I have, things have gone quite well for them. Lots of views, lots of content created, potentially some new sponsors for them, that is, because it's a volunteer organization. Anyway, creating content is something I enjoy, so that's something I want to keep doing. The question then becomes, on what? I've also been looking into some other topics, try to consider what am I good at, like what could I help people with, what could I instruct people on how to do, what sort of problems could I help them solve. And I am not quite sure at the moment. I'm not quite sure. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a doctor, I'm not somebody who has a great deal of experience in in anything but YouTube. But even after 10 years, I still only have 125,000 subscribers. So in that sense, I'm not one of those channels that started a year ago at, for example, 15,000 subscribers, or started last year ago at I don't know, 10 subscribers, and has since grown to 150k. I am not sure what I would do topics on. Well, there is one channel that has inspired me lately, which is also sort of why I'm doing this particular video. It's Makari SP. She started last, I think it was 2024, somewhere around January. And her first few videos didn't seem to do that well, and then she did one on, I think, 30 days of cardio or something like that, or 30 days of walking, and boom. YouTube said, yeah, this is good stuff. So they started pushing her, and now she's grown to 140k, 150k. I don't know, she grows by like 10k per week. Pardon my hand for the camera there. It is cold. So yeah, she's grown quite a lot. This, by the way, is one of my favorite spots of town. This is a, how should you put it, an interior lake. You can see the lighthouse up there. That's a lighthouse back to 1800, I think. And this lighthouse used to be there because, or well, it's, I mean, it's still there. It used to be here because this was all part of the sea. And then in 1953, the country flooded to some extent, to a large extent, in fact. And the government decided never again, along with the people, and started putting the Delta Plan in motion, which just locked down a couple of large waterways, and as such, this has now become an interior lake. Salt water at that. Anyway, what else could I do videos on? That's kind of where I think you guys might come in as well. I mean, some people have suggested over the years that I am very good at talking people to sleep. I used to take that as, Jesus, am I that boring? Am I really that boring? And over the years, I've kind of started to take it different, in the sense that I think, maybe it's not that boring, maybe it's that comforting, as some people have said. And so I don't mind that anymore, but videos talking people to sleep, that's ASMR, isn't it? Or at least it can be. Trying to voice audiobooks, for example, is something I've also been suggested. And I quite like reading to at least my kids, so maybe I can read to more people. But I think that's not particularly a growth market, with all the AI features that are now popping up and all the AI voice generators and such. Actually, I tossed my own voice into one of those things a while back and had it produce some sentences that I would say, and it came back surprisingly good. So who knows, maybe in a few months to a few years time, you can generate your own Stealth 17 videos, which would make me completely redundant. And then what? Because like, what is it that I can do well? Apparently make content, as turns out for the search and rescue group. I can do pretty cohesive voiceovers, I think, maybe with the exception of this video. And well, there's the blind spot, isn't it? Because you are usually the last person to think, oh, I'm good at this particular thing. You're usually the last person to see that because you got a massive blind spot. Other people are going to be much better at saying, hey, this is what you're really good at. This is what is something that I come to you for. And normally I bet you would be asking friends that question, hey, what is it that you come to me for? But I basically don't have many friends. And the friends that I have are the ones that I got online. So it's not like I meet up with people and chat with them that way. Anyway, to take this back to the start, what am I going to work on? What am I going to make content on? I don't really know. It might just be one of those periods where nothing really good comes out that gets my interest, or where there isn't really that much worth covering. But rent's got to be paid somehow. Bills have to be paid. And because of that, I will have to produce something. So, as I have been doing on my community page for a couple of times already, like, what game would you like me to feature? Some people would say Stormworks. And then I go to Steam charts and I look at how many people actually play Stormworks, and it's like 15. So it's like a really vocal minority. But Stormworks videos don't do well, for example. So I need to have something, here's the Venn diagram again, something that I'm interested in, something that you're interested in watching, something that doesn't take a week to put together, both in recording and editing, as well as something that I think is repeatable. And by that I mean I can have a game, for example, that I do once, but that is actually more resource intensive on my part. Because, for example, Sea Power, I know the game quite well by now. I can pretty much crank out a Sea Power video in an hour, give or take. And that's including editing. I mean, they're never going to be the same quality as Wolfpack. I know that, but at least they are apparently interesting enough to watch for a bunch of you. If I'm learning a new game for one particular video, that means I have to not only make the content, so record the content, record the gameplay footage, if you will, and then edit, set stuff. I also have to learn the game. And that's a sort of startup cost, I guess, that tends to get more expensive the more complex the game becomes. So, for example, Command Modern Operations, hell of a game, I bet. It's just going to take a long time to put together, because I have to learn the game, I have to learn the controls, I have to learn the interface, I have to learn everything, and then make a video about it that does fairly well, and then edit the bunch. So that's one of those games where it doesn't really work that well. And yet, I think that one of my stronger points is being able to break a complex topic down, explain what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, so that it's going to be not only entertaining but also somewhat educational. Like, okay, why is he using this particular unit at this particular time for this purpose? I think that's pretty much all that I have for this particular brain dump, if you will. Let me know what your thoughts are down below in the comments. I look forward to seeing your input on what you think I am good at. Also what games you'd like me to cover as such, but then a bit more concise or confined to, for example, something that came out recently. Because otherwise it's not going to be that useful. Like, older games tend to still have some viewers, but not as many. A big thanks to the patrons and members. Some of you have been with me for a very long time and have been extraordinarily generous. So in that sense, I must be doing something right. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your inputs. Thank you for your thoughts, your suggestions on what I can be doing. And, well, I'll see what I can come up with over the next couple of days. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon for more.